Alrighty, Doc here from North America. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Another fun-filled day. Here we are. Today is Tuesday, second day of the week. Markets seem to be kind of bouncing around. Dow's down like 6 points. Europe is mixed the same way. This is all mixed. That doesn't mean anything. Down 6 points is literally just a rounding number. It's basically unchanged. The what do we have? We have the Nasdaq is up a couple points, so it's basically unchanged. The S&P is basically the same way. Pretty quiet overall. They're waiting for tomorrow's news. We have crude oil like down half a cent or something, half a dollar. Gold down a few bucks. The markets overall are just waiting, I guess, for tomorrow's interest rate, which I think is already built into the marketplace. Matter of fact, I think there's a couple of them built into the marketplace. We've been pushing that agenda, I guess you could say, or opinion or idea, and that is that with the 3% and 290 and 280 yields on the 10-year and the 30-year and that type of range, pretty much they've built in an increase of about 4, if not more, increases of 50, half a point each time. So that would put us to 2.25. And that's not exactly anything earth-shattering in any way. When you look at the return on with inflation versus the bonds, stocks look awful good actually. In other words, you have as good a yield in stocks as you have in bonds. So it's a floor in many ways, supporting the stock market, especially with the for the sophisticated individuals who can use binaries and options, binary options and options nakedly or so forth and so on against their equity. So it really makes the bond market kind of irrelevant in some ways. The bond vigilantes came out. No one seems to be really talking about it in that sense. In other words, 3% bonds, I think, is some of the highest rate we've had on a 10-year in a decade. Something like that. It's been a while since we've seen that high a rate, especially the 10-year itself. So the 30-year and the 10-year are pretty high up. Since they started quantitative easing, we could probably go back and look at that and get a flavor of it. But that is pretty much the nature of it all. Oh, let me check the chat line, make sure nobody's asking anything. Hey, Robin. So that's basically where we stand when it comes to the markets in general. I guess you could say they're not exactly freaking everything out. In other words, as much as they want to say, "Oh goodness gracious," in the end result is that it's pretty much where it's at, and it's not anything major going on. All right, let's see now. Where do we go from here? Let's go over to, let's see. Basically, let's take a look at the currencies themselves. You can see the currencies are kind of sanguine or quiet or peaceful. You're looking at, there's the Swiss. You can see the dollar Swiss right there on the J4X. You can see it's another green day. You can see to the right of it, right here, on the Chicago Quant, we are down just a little bit on the actual. And you can see we are playing with a daily sell at the moment, right there. And you can see over on J4X too, the green line has pierced. It has pierced like that. And you can see the volume is dropping. And we're just waiting for this to join in to push it into the sell like it's already started in the Chicago Quant. So we'll see what they do with that at the same time. The currencies themselves, the big news, I guess, today is the Aussie. The Aussie, they raised a quarter percentage point. Supposedly, like all the other central banks, they're kind of disconnected from physical reality, since they are the reality now. In other words, what everybody's going through. In other words, they used crazy words like transitory and short-lived, and made it sound like that there was no real inflation, and we went from 1.5 and now we're at 8.5. And it took them When it got up to 6.5, they finally admitted that maybe it's not going to go away so quick. Well, now the Fed treasurer, the Secretary of Treasury, Janet Yellen, who used to be Fed chair, she's kind of still holding that attitude of don't take it too serious. It's going to go away. So we are in a world where central bankers in particular don't exactly see what everybody else is living with. They see what they want to see on paper instead. And that just seems to be the way to go. So, or the way they're going, let's put it that way. So you see here, I am still somewhat perplexed why we would see a Swiss franc go from 92 to 98. That is, I don't think things change that dramatically in the country economically. They're a very strong, healthy economic country. So is it the war? It's 15 weeks ago. What is that? That is, what is that? That's April. Is that April, really? Yeah, so, let's see if we can do this. The war started right there, is it? That's March. Yeah, so that's the war. So since the war started, it's gone from 91.5 to 98. I guess since it's in their neighborhood, they must be more concerned. Now, did we see the same action in the Swiss? Let's see what the euro. Let's take a look at the euro and see if it looks the same way going back from the war. Could be just the war. Also at the same time, they've confirmed they are going to raise rates. Back then, they said it. They've been saying it for months. They've been, kind of softening the market. And you can see here, there is the same time frame, basically. Right somewhere around here, and it's done the same thing. It's just gotten slammed down from the 112 area down to the 105 and 3/4 area, 1.5 area, that type of thing. So we're seeing the pressure on the euro the same kind of way. Let's see what it looks like on Chicago Quant. I know we're flirting with the daily buy today. Right there. There it is. You see it's lifting up pretty nicely. Taking out the highs of, that's only 3 days ago, so that's pretty irrelevant. You can see we've been in a long march on the downside. Right here you can see we've been in a weekly sell since this area right there. So it has been in that long march down, maybe adjusting for the Russian/Ukraine situation. And that is really where we're at this point in time. I guess the king dollar is being the king dollar. It's being very, very strong. It's not letting go. Hey, there's Daniel. Hey, Daniel, how you doing? I think Daniel's from Portugal, maybe? Not Portugal, Brazil. Daniel, you're from Brazil, is it? I think that's what it is. So, yeah, so that's the world we see today, It's just the action we see, the way it's been playing out. Not much of a surprise, at least not to us here at Chicago Quant. And here at the Dukascopy webinars, or whatever they call us, YouTubes, our Dukascopy YouTube, basically it's no surprise. We've not been surprised on pretty much any of this action that we're seeing. It just seems to keep on marching along. Now, same circumstances are occurring in cable too. Let's take a look at the British pound right there. Let's put it up on J4X. Oh, and also you can see here Euro is trying to do the same thing. It's trying to turn up for the last couple of days. We just need some green there to confirm it. And right there's the cable. And you see British pound doing the same thing as the euro, trying to lift up. We still have some red here. Let's see how she looks over on... Oh, we have it up there already. Yeah, so it's through the daily buy number already here. So we're seeing that strength slide in. You see the Bollinger Bands we have up on the daily chart, still obviously lagging behind our nonlinear bands, right there. So a nonlinear time manifold, that's the mirror image. We make them the same color as Bollinger just to emphasize how much our work leads. And then you can see, it turned up here. We turn up there in price. Bollinger's still sliding down. Bollinger starts to turn up there. No doubt, this is turning down still, and the price is moving up towards the zero line, I guess you could call it, down the center. Let's see. From there, are they saying I'm signed down? Sign in. How's that? There we go. I see. Now we're signed in. So you just have to connect back up again to, so you just try to go like that, and like that. There we go. Now I'll be able to see if there's more on the chat line, I guess. Now, from here, we drift over to the Turkish lira. Let's see what they're doing with the Turkish lira. You see here the dollar Turkish lira right there. It'll jump out in a second. I know, I just saw it. There it is. You see it's been very firm. You see J4X is trying to roll over. You see the green line breaking down. Let's see what it looks like over here. We've been at the top end of this range for months now, just months. Look at this. Top end of the range, that rectangle, that black rectangle is the range. And you see here it's starting to roll over, and this is getting closer on the weekly too. So both are showing more and more pressure. See, it's bouncing around the top end of the range. And that is, let's see if we can widen this. There we are. You see how close that's getting. And our daily doing pretty much the same thing. You see how it's getting closer and closer to the zero line right there. Now, what we really like trusting more than the dollar Turkish lira is we like to look at the euro Turkish lira. Right there. That is trapped inside the range very comfortably. Now they've put into a buy yesterday, but the weekly has been in a sell now going on a second week, so we're not too confident that there's a lot of buying going on. No doubt that it's moving up more because of dollars being sold, I guess. The whole world seems to be, even the currency that will not be named is tied to the dollar now because of they're trying to tie themselves to gold and oil and all kinds of other things. Anything they can sell, they'll make their currency responsible for, which is a good thing. When you don't have much economic growth, tying it to a physical asset is not a bad idea. I know that the Chinese have been saying it for, I don't know, 5-10 years now. They've been saying it for a while to try to compete with the blockchain itself, but the Chinese have not. They still can't even get their currency to be floating, so it's going to be very hard for them to lock it onto any particular physical commodity. I've always wondered why more people don't say that. If your currency is not a floating currency and instead it's fixed, then you've got, and you're locking it to pay, I guess they're saying it's guaranteed by like oil and gold. Then what happens if you buy that currency and exercise it when gold runs and your currency, since it's fixed, doesn't run? So then you're making a beautiful arbitrage for people to make money. So that's why I don't believe any of that's ever going to happen. We'll never see the Chinese yuan locked to the dollar, or not the dollar, to the gold or silver or something like that, or oil. Then it'll never happen because then that would mean that their currency would have to float. And if it floated, then it might end up at 14 or 15 or 17, and then they'll be in the top 5 of economies in the world, maybe. Something like that. Not trying to pretend that they're in number 2. Obviously, the European Union is the number 2 economy in the world. Hence the reason why their currency trades 20 some odd percent of the day, and the Chinese only trade about 2.5% of the day. All right. From there, we drift over to Canadian. Let's see what's up with the Canadian this morning. Starting off as a quiet morning. Yesterday we were looking at short-term trading, which was very fascinating. And that was fun. I'd like to do that again if someone wants to do that. Let's take a look at... Okay, whoop, what happened there? Let's get the Canadian up there. Oh, we don't have the euro up there either yet. Right there. I see 2 days of green. And you can see, the green line past the dashed line, meaning that the buying is trying to come in, just like we see over here on Chicago Quant. 2 green dots. Green line through yesterday, went into the buy there. So there's a good line up, showing you how it joins in with the Chicago Quant very well. A good 68 to 71% of the time. It fluctuates back and forth. All right, now let's jump over to Canadian. Right there. And right there. There's a Canadian. It hit the top end of the range. Kind of stalls out, just kind of hanging. Still in the buy for a bunch of days there. Same thing as Chicago J4X. You can see here. Lots of green. Was green here. I guess somewhere's around here. It hasn't been too confirming for the move there because of the way it curved underneath, but at least you knew that there was some pressure on the upside until this turned red. Even with this line turned, we knew that there was something going on. And for us, over here, we've been in a guns blazing, be long or be wrong. And at the same time, we're in the weekly trend too, on the buy side. From there, what we normally do is we're going to leave the on J4X, we're going to leave the CAD up, and we're going to just take a look at, we'll take a look at oil, and then we'll take a look at gold, because both these influence the Canadian market pretty well. So you see here, oil kind of, it was interesting how they came off the lows yesterday. And we were flirting with a sell, and next thing you know, we are back into the buy with no problem. So we've been in a buy for a while here. It's going on a 7th day. You see the weekly's been in a buy since back in here. So since the century mark, I guess you could say. And it's not really doing anything too exciting. It got up to, about almost 110. Now, it's gotten down to 95, basically. So no real excitement, but, just some good action. That normally when oil's going down in value, Canadian is going down. Right now we're seeing, let's just take a quick look at the Canadian. There's Canadian, and it is going down a little bit. You can see that. But we're still in that buy. Still the strength there. Okay? And then we go over to the gold and take a look at that. And that usually correlates a little bit with the Canadian also. But what we do is we use this to lead into the South African rand. So with gold kind of, down and moving down for weeks now, and in the weekly sell for going on 3 weeks now, the pressure is on this product. So we assume automatically when we go to the South African rand right here, it should have some. Let's see, this should be going back up really. I think that's right. Yeah, so this should be moving up, losing value, but it's not. It's stalled out now. So maybe this is the bottom for the metals complex, and maybe they're going to find a way to dig their heels in there. And you can see there it's trying to play with that low back in it before the war. And so maybe that's going to be like a little bottom and a bounce, and maybe it'll try to turn up and get moving along a little bit in the metals complex. Let's put it up over on there. And there is the South African rand. You see, still in that green thing, but see that line breaking down. And with so that might be trying to tell us that the metals complex is going to try to find a little bottom in here just to base and try to lift back up again. So now, what we should do is use that translator to figure out what Daniel was saying. So I'm going to copy that. Yeah. And it's Brazilian, of course. Let's do this. So we go to trading. And let's go to translator. And see what he said. Let's see. Brazil. B. That's interesting. Now why? I guess maybe should go to Portuguese. Let's see. Maybe let's go with the P's. Let's try that like that. Paste. Good morning from Santa Beautiful Catarina. Great Florianópolis, Brazil. Nice. Let's see. So we can grab that. So we'll grab that, copy it, and then go like this. Yeah, it's the location. You're right, Robin. Let's see if we can do this. I am signed in. Why does it do that? I did sign in. Okay, there we go. And we're just going to go South Jersey. There we are. Yes. So, South African Rand kind of just dogging it. Gold flattish. When we get back to this area, we'll check out the silver and the copper and see if it's just doing the same things. Let's jump over from the South African Rand. Let's go to the currency that will not be named right there. And so it's still heading down, even with the strength in the dollar. Well, I'll tell you, look at this. This is some real weird stuff. It gets into this buy. It doesn't let go. It keeps on playing with sells and then fails at it. And we are in the weekly sell, so it's been real stalled out. I guess they're trying to figure out, how can this thing keep on going down when they're ostracized in the world, And so that's really what's going on there. From there, we'll go over to the yen, see what the yen is doing. There's the yen. You can see it's kind of rolling over here on J4X. Let's put it up over here on Chicago Quant. There we are. And it's flirting with a sell. It's doing the same thing as the J4X with the green line. It's trying to break down. We've been in that weekly buy there since the 115, so it's been one interesting run from 15 to 30. They were paying interest sooner than everybody else. I thought that was going to kind of preserve them on some level, but it doesn't seem to at this point. In other words, we're seeing pressure on the dollar yen just as much as we see anything else. So what's really happening is that the dollar yen has really shown, like basically, since the war, I guess, you could say it, they've all done this. All the major currencies have basically launched themselves. And let's just look at Canadian again in that same time period. Has Canadian been, I guess, Canadian's probably one that's not functioning like that. So in other words, if it had been functioning like that, it would be, I guess it would have been this smile or reverse head and shoulders, whatever you want, or was it William O'Neill's cup and saucer thing going on right there, and then takes off. It's a little odd, you know. I mean, that's one of the majors that hasn't, but when it comes to the euro, you know, it's done it. From the British pound, it has done it, you know, since the war started. The yen, since the war has started, you know, they've all gone on some type of rampage in that one direction. You know, the Swiss, same situation, you know, on a wild rampage since the war started. But not the Canadian. Maybe that is a flight to physical safety, you know. And instead, this thing's just been playing half the range, not getting knocked out of the range, but literally staying with it. And I guess that's because its neighboring country is America, so you know they don't have to really be concerned. Now, the Japanese are on the edge of, you know, they border Russia, so maybe that does put some pressure on them more than we realize. Let me think. What else is there? Oh, and the kroner. I guess the last one would be something like the, you know, the kroner. We could look at that and see if that's falling apart like the rest of them. Let's see if we can find that on J4X. Let's see. Oh no, wrong keyboard. Oops, we did the wrong keyboard. So, let me just shut that down for a second. There. So, let's see. The kroner. Let's see. Let's try that again. Let's see. So, Swedish kroner. There it is, right there. See how it loads up and see where it's going from. Pretty much the same stuff, I guess. Let's see what the date is here. That's March. Yeah, that's no. See, let's see. Yeah, so it's kind of done the same thing. There's January. There's where the war started, like right here. Okay, so it runs up. Now that's interesting that the kroner and the Canadian dollar look a lot alike in their actions. That's kind of interesting, isn't it? Let's put that up there too. Yeah, a lot alike. Not sure what that's all about, but in the end result is that the dollar seems to be very, very firm against all these currencies. That's what it seems to say more than anything else. And I guess it's just that classic flight to safety. King dollar. Someone said something to me on the phone this morning. They were like, "Oh my God, the dollar just doesn't buy what it used to." And I was like, "The dollar's trading at, or no, the dollar's not worth anything anymore." That's what he said. And I said, "The dollar's at all-time highs against all the other currencies." I was like, "Oh, you know, nobody in America knows that the dollar is so strong." Excuse me. They think that the dollar is really weak. What it really comes down to is the inflation. That's the weird part about it all. So, you know, here in America, that's why we always try to do these, you know, we do the webinars with the kind of from the view from outside the United States, because inside the United States, we're in la-la land most of the time. We're like a bunch of big children running around going in different circles. I guess that's why we can get smacked in the nose and not pay attention to it, because we're young, we're easy to repair and start over again. But that is a very funny thing. I say that now to people when they say, "Oh my God, the dollar is getting killed." It's like, no, it's at all-time highs. And there's like silence because they don't know. And to be honest, I don't think they really care. That's probably like the worst part. Oh my god. All right, from there we go to we're going to go to the Mexican peso and see what that looks like. And the Mexican peso has got that same look on it, that big that and this thing again, and that's the war right there. And if it was up to here, it would be amazing, wouldn't it? So let's look at it. It's probably playing with the middle of the range. Yeah, see, it's just got up to the middle of the range right there. Hit it after coming off the bottom end of the range. And now we're orbiting in this area in particular. Now, today you can see they're putting it into the sell. There's some pressure. And you can see the same thing on J4X. We got red. The thing's been in the green below. The green line's been below through most of this move up. And so you can see the pressure on it. We've been in a weekly buy. I guess we should get rid of that because it did close in the weekly buy last week. Remove. There we are. There we are. So what we're seeing is the strength in, I guess, these three, the kroner, the Mexican peso, and the Canadian, in some way or another, are acting, mixed. I think that's a good way of describing it. We used to call that mixed. And obviously the Mexican peso is even more stronger than, is it more stronger than the Canadian dollar? Let's see. No, so it's not. It's come back up to this area there. So, at this point in time, it makes it really, really hard to. Oh, hold on one second. Let me just grab this phone call. Hello, hello. No, it's I won't get there until like 10ish at this point. Yeah, I'm sorry. Maybe we can screen share in somehow or another. For the last half hour, I won't know what's going on by then. All right. Well, let me give you a yell at 9:30, and I'll let you know. All right. All right. So you have here the Canadian, basically being back up to the top end of its range, but the Mexican peso not, and the kroner kind of mixed in the middle. So I don't really, we try to put some fundamental idea of what's on here, but in the end result is we always trust the math. The math is first and everything else is secondary at this point. So from there, let's see, what do we got going on from there? So that's pretty much it with the currencies. So what we'll do now is drift over to the metal complex, and I want to see where silver is. We've already seen what gold is doing. Gold is flat to down, and let's see what silver's doing. Silver's pretty much the same way, just a little teeny pressure. It's July silver now, the big front month contract. And you see it's been in a sell since this peak up in here. And it's been also in a weekly sell since there. That's when 1-1, winner, many chicken dinners. So then I think the last I saw copper, it was bouncing up a little bit. And it does seem like it has some life into it. There, you can see that. Still a red dot. Oh, and let's take a look at over here on J4X. You can see right there the pressure, and you can see that silver is really melting away. When it comes to no strength, it just rolled over. We've got a little strength here on the green line, but the red bars are putting that pressure on it. Now let's go to copper. Right there. Copper looking the same way, and the green lines tried to jump up, but overall the pressure is been on the downside, and the stochastic basically is our battle of the two stochastics is basically just trying to lift, but not really getting much movement when it comes to price appreciation of the product itself. You see here we went into a buy for a day and then rolled back over again. Let me just double check to see what the quote is on another machine, just to confirm. Nothing else. Let's see. Right now we see copper is, where's that? There it is. So copper this is July copper. So it's up a couple cents. Okay. So it is trying to lift a little bit in here. Now, when it comes to the rest of the products, we're seeing strength in platinum, and we're seeing strength in palladium in the June contracts. But the front month are kind of, I'd imagine they're feeling the pressure of delivery at this point. And there's no doubt it's May's coming up. I mean, how these contracts work. They weeks before the month, they're already starting to move into the delivery mode. So we're not really seeing any real strength in the spot, but we're seeing it in the back months, which makes sense. Delivery becomes a real challenge for a lot of people. And we're in that weekly sell too. You can see here on the copper, it's not exactly running away from any of this action. So there it is right there, July copper. I guess that's it when it comes to the metals complex. Let's take a look. I just want to take one quick look at platinum, just to see where it's at on our math itself. And it's in a daily buy for a fourth day now, right there. Did do a little flip-flopping there. And we've been in that weekly sell since the 10,025 area, something like that. And it fell down to 900, and it's still trying to march. Now we're at 950 and change. But we're still in that weekly sell. You can see the green line is challenging the time manifold, but you notice that the echo, or that blue dashed line that I like to follow nowadays, the 5 of the super right there. That's the 5, the blue. And then the histogram and the the green line is the 3 out of the gas line. So you can see there, the strength is hanging out. It's there. It's not letting go. All right. From there, we slide over to the energy sector. So let's take a look at crude oil. And there's crude. And you can see it's backing off a little bit, down about 50-60 cents. It's fighting to stay in the daily buy and having no problem with the weekly. Now let's take a look at it over here on J4X, and let's see what Brent is looking like this morning. And Brent is trying to roll over. The volume is drifting, and we're in the greens right there. So kind of the same situation as the West Texas Intermediate. And then from there, we go over to natural gas. Obviously, I guess you could say that's the pillar of European energy need is natural gas. So let's find it on here. Natural gas. There it is, right there. You see the strength in it last couple days. See the green line firm. That's U.S. natural gas. And you see the same thing going on here. Same type of pressures. And then from there we go over to, not here, but let's go over to European natural gas. Right there. Trading in the 28s, has been as high as a 30 or so, and maybe a little bit higher. And you can see here in euros, and you can see it's trying to break down. It's got 3 reds going on there. You see it rolling over. So we're seeing some, good pressure on the product. This says basically it drifted below 27 on an average. So it must have been in the mid 27s. Would love to see, they're trying to figure out ways to feed natural gas into Europe and away from the Russian Federation. So I imagine as time goes on, that will happen. They'll end up finding a way to doing it, and then from there, it'll be, a lot more convenient for Europe itself. Being the second largest economy in the world, it probably has a lot of noise going on, especially with Russia. They're saying Russia's going to declare war on the Ukraine or something like that, or the United States. I don't know, something like that. Russia's going to do something on the 9th. They have to do something. I think Mr. Putin is going to be in the hospital on the 9th. I think that's what they're trying to set up now. Is try to get him out of the limelight. He'll wave from his hospital bed. So he'll be able to pretend like, I love my country, but I'm sick, and we'll get this resolved, and, I'm in charge, and who knows what other circus act he'll create. All right. From there, we go over to, let's see, is that it? I guess it is. Gas and crude. And that's pretty much the end of the action there. Let's go take a look at stock indices. We haven't done that in a while. So here is the S&P 500. It's been feeling the pressure from the 4,600 area down below the 42 area now. Let's put it up over here. There we are. You can see the pressure it's been on that. It tried. That's not it. Right there. There it is. So it's just feeling that pressure over and over and over. It's not letting go. And it's just, we're in the weekly sell there, and just pressing down from the 45-ish area, 44 area, that type of thing. I guess that's one over. There it is, right there. Yeah, so 44 area. That went down 100 points that day. All right, and then from there, let's take a look at NQs, and you can see there the pressure is. Let's redo that too. There it is. There we are. That's what I thought. I thought it went into the buy yesterday. Let me just open this up. I'm confused about that. Let's see, where's it at? Okay, so that's what that's doing there. Let's go look at yesterday's chart, what I sent out last night. I'm just curious to see what we sent out last night. Sent. Let's see, right there. Okay, just missed it. I see. That's what we sent out last night. So it reflected that and just missed it. And then you can see here, it's through it. It showed it through it at the moment. It was red. I reloaded it. I'll have to go back and double check the math and make sure it's in the the highs, lows, and all that other stuff is right. But as far as we can tell, the pressure is on this product, and it's in the weekly sell. Then that's the NASDAQ 100. Let's put it up on J4X. Not that. All right, there. All right, so from there you can see the pressure. And that's where we are at the moment. It's just not giving us any. It's going into the buy, into the sell, and now it's back into a buy. You can see the pressures on it on the upside here a little bit today. You see the volumes dropping right there, and there it is right there. That situation going on. All right, from there, let's go over to. We'll have to double check that too and look at the highs and lows and all that. Let's take a look at the Dow Jones Industrial Average. Where are you at? I know you're right there somewhere. No. Where are you? Right, there it is. You can see the pressure on that. You can see the line is trying to curve over at the same time. And let's check it out right here. Let's just give that a refresh also. Yeah, they really smashed it down yesterday. It was a really interesting 650 to 700 points up and down. And then today you can see it's just up a little bit. But we're in that weekly sell and been in the daily sell since here. So not much of a reason to take it too serious on the long side. What a quiet day. Yesterday we were fooling around with intraday trading. Today it's like nothing. No one's paying attention. It goes in and out like that. Then from there, we go over to the weakest of all our stock indices here in the States, and that is the Russell 2000. Playing with that made a new low a couple of days ago. You see that right there? Those two lows. And it hadn't seen that type of low since a long time ago. You see August of last year, it's way up higher. What is that? That's April. So it hasn't been that low for over a year. And let's see if we can get it on here. I thought I saw it. I think we were looking, and we actually saw the Russell on here somewhere. On J4X. I could have sworn I saw the Russell. We have to push on that again next time I think I see it. There's the dollar. We'll have to click it next time. Alright, from there, let's do this. Let's take a look at Bitcoin. Because I just saw Bitcoin, and that they really want Bitcoin to do something. What I mean? They really do. And here we are playing with the lows again. It's in the 38s. It was at almost 70,000 back in November. There's talk of nuclear war, and what do we see? We see a Bitcoin that's trading almost 50%. Was it like 30? Let's see, 38,000 versus 70,000 is 32,000 points off. So it's $32,000 off its all-time high area. It really disappoints a lot of us who are very happy to see blockchain evolve. Solely because as long as there's quantitative easing, blockchain belongs. Cryptos belong in this universe. As long as they're going to give us that stuff, then it's. Pretty much that's part of the game as far as I'm concerned. I really see it that way. I mean, really, if there's going to be quantitative easing, then without a doubt there has to be blockchain, because you have to have a counter to that whole situation. Because that's the way, it's the natural tendency of it, That is the nature of it all. So when we for us who are supporters of blockchain and say, we believe in the technology, the one thing that disappoints us is the fact that it's trading down to 38. It's like, wait a minute, why can't it be trading at 62? At least be close to all-time highs. I mean, there's a war in Europe. There's a war in Europe against the largest state in Europe, the Ukraine. Russia is threatening nuclear weapons, to use nuclear weapons, and we can't get this blockchain to get off its back. That's amazing. That makes it very clear our frustration with, the whole concept of, in other words, the fundamentals of Bitcoin or fundamentals of blockchain say this thing should be through the roof. Inflation is at 8.5, 9. Russia's threatening nuclear war, and there's war raging in the center of Europe, and we can't get blockchain to go to at least 50,000. Wow, that has a lot of people in that universe very confused. I myself just follow the math. I've been in a weekly sell since the 40s. It's drifted down into the 38s. It's not a big move over the last 4 weeks. We've been in a daily sell since, I guess, right there. And that's only barely at 39,000 and change, 39.5. So, it's only gone $1,500 down in that sell-off. So that's a good thing. The seller is not exactly ripping it apart. Matter of fact, it even looks, in many ways, it has a triangular look. It's in that resting state. But it sure is not doing what everybody expected we would get out of blockchain technology and cryptos in particular. It's supposed to be the counter to the mainstream, I guess you could say. And it's definitely not showing that. You see it goes into the buy here, and it barely, it goes up to what, 47, 40, 48. It goes up to 48 in that buy. And it's in a daily buy for most of that ride right there. And it's just a very big confusion, and I have to say a disappointment for a lot of us that it's not. We've learned our lesson about gold and silver. In other words, no matter how chaotic it looks, it's gained year after year. And there's probably, more than likely when you look at blockchain, more than likely it'll be higher than 39,000 in 5 years. But it may only be 44, or it might be 49, it might be 120. We have no idea. Just the same way gold seems to move in 5-year cycles more than it does 5-week cycles or 5-day cycles. Whereas everybody wants to believe that gold and silver can react on a very, very short-term basis. But it's not really. It's not really the more sensitive short-term product we thought it was going to be. Let's put it that way. We thought blockchain was going to be like, oh, you central bankers are, borrowing money till the cows come home, and there's not anything to back it up, and we're going to run the blockchain because, oh boy, it's going to outperform. It's a currency. We heard that over and over and over again, and it's not reflecting that whatsoever. So, can you believe the Russian ruble is trading much more firmer than the blockchain in the same time period? That's the amazing part. So if you're long rubles versus, the Bitcoin, wow, that's a real disappointment. All right, from there, where do we go from there? We did the stock indices, and we've done the crypto index, I guess you can call it. It's a new class of asset. That's the way I look at it. I don't really have any other way of describing it, but as a new class of asset. It's not really a currency; it's an asset, and it just happens to have its own entity in a sense. So you buy Bitcoin with dollars, and it's Bitcoin now you have, not dollars. And if you sell it out in British pounds, then you'll have British pounds. But it's an asset more than it is a currency. Okay, from there, what else can we take a look at today? Let's look at the other crypto. we watched the crypto exchange. Let's put that up there. And then you see here, this has been in a sell since there. Oh no, that's Ford. There it is, right there. Coin exchange. This is an exchange that trades lots of crypto. So you can see it went into the weekly sell. It went into the daily sell there, and has been in the daily sell ever since. So it's been in the daily sell since the end of March, and here we are in the beginning of May. We've been in the weekly sell since the middle of April, or no, the first week of April. So the pressure's been on in many forms. Now you can see today we are actually trying to turn up. It's looking, is that today? Yeah, that's today, the 3rd. So you can see some strength is trying to come in on a short-term basis. They've rocketed this line right through both manifolds. You can see the weekly is trying to turn up also. There's the 0 line right there. And this is trying to get through the manifold. It's not getting through the 0 line, but at least it's trying to turn up. That's what we see right now, is that action with the crypto. So, alrighty. What else can we say about any of this? I guess not much. If anybody has a question, fire it out. If not, we're going to get going and get ready for the U.S. market to open. So that's that has been the interesting point out of this whole webinar. It's a very quiet day, and there's not. I mean, the currencies are fluctuating around. They're maybe profit taking, something of that nature is going on, but it's surely not anything too death-defying in any of these products. Whereas the Turkish lira is kind of hanging out, a little weakness, even in some ways, and firmer in others. It's kind of like the old days we used to call it a mixed market. How many times have you heard people on the talking heads on Bloomberg and so forth and CNBC actually say, this is a mixed market? They usually have, oh my God, it's down 200 points. Like 200 points is like, when I was a young guy on the trading floors, 200 points, that same percentage was more like 15 points or 10 points. So, I mean, the Dow Jones Industrial Average when I was on the trading floor traded in the 700s. Now it's trading at 34,000 or 35,000. Where is it at? 34,000, 33,000 something? Let's just take a quick look again where that's at. Right there. Yeah, so it's at 33,000 basically today. 32,955. And, its highs are what, the 37,000s or something like that? Right there. Is that it? The 36s? That's the highs. So we're 3,000 points off. That's nothing. That's literally nothing. All right. So this is Doc from North America. Catch you tomorrow. Tomorrow will be Happy to Hump Day. Everybody have a safe and smart trading day. So happy trails to you until we meet again. Happy trails to you, to all our trading friends. Later, traders.